Okay, so here I'm just going to very briefly take you through how to view feedback in Canvas. There are a couple different ways, so I'll go through each of them. So let's say you're in your gradebook, and I'm just using a test student here, so none of this is real. But here's one of my assignments for one of my classes, and this is what your gradebook should look like. So let's say here you've gotten feedback from your instructor. So in the gradebook, you can see how many points you got, how many points it's out of, what the deadline was, what your status is, and then you can also see if there are comments and if there's information in a rubric. So this little button is comments. You can open it up. Here's where your instructor might have left you a general comment, such as this, and then I'll show you in a minute how you can actually respond to that feedback where, here my test student responded to that feedback. So this is kind of like how you can have a conversation with your instructor about the assignment. This button opens up the rubric where you can, if there is one, if the instructor is using one, it gives the criteria for the assignment. It gives how many points you got for each criterion. And if your instructor left feedback for any given criteria, it would be here, right? Okay, so those are two ways, but there is actually a sneaky third way to see feedback, that you may get feedback from an instructor in Canvas. So to do that, you need to actually click on the assignment. And then this will show the document that you uploaded, if you did. Now here you can also still see the conversation I mentioned before, right? Here's the instructor's comment that they left on your paper or on your assignment. Here's something where you could have replied. You could say something else. Right? You could add to the conversation. And then you can also attach files or media. And then you can also see the rubric I mentioned before by clicking up here. That opens the same thing I went over before. But then the sneaky third way I mentioned would be feedback right on the document. Now, not all instructors use this feature, so you want to make sure you find out from your instructor exactly how they're leaving feedback. I always tell students if I'm leaving feedback directly on the document so that they can know to look for it. So the way you do that is in this view, you have to look for this link here, view feedback. And this can be tricky because I've seen on some students' laptops where if you're on a smaller screen, this may actually be hidden from view because the window is too small and you actually have to scroll to the right to even see this. So that can be pretty subtle. So you have to know to look for it there. So let's say your instructor's told you to find it there. Click on View Feedback, and it will open up comments they've made directly on the document. Now, one thing that's kind of annoying is it can be a little bit small, right? Like this is a little hard to read. The paper is very tiny. You can't even see all the comments. They're kind of cut off. So one workaround here is to hit this full screen button, and then you can see everything a little bigger. You can zoom if you want to. You can see the comments, and you can see how they're tied directly to certain aspects of the paper. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, I think that way works pretty well. Another way to do it is to download. So if you go to the very top, here's the download button. If you download it, you've got a couple options. You can either open it with Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is free and open source, and will show you the feedback in a pretty clean way. You can also open it in Chrome. So I'm operating in Chrome right now, and I found that if I just click on the download, it pulls it up like this. I think this way is only okay. It shows where the comments are, but it doesn't immediately show what they are. Now, if you hover over these, you can see what the comments are. But I don't really like that because they're not just all out there visible. So for me, I'd prefer to either go full screen, right, so that you can see all the comments, or download it and open it with Adobe. So that's how you can view feedback in 3 places, just to review: on the document, as comments in a conversation, or in a rubric.